Welcome to a new episode from Perfect English Podcast. Today we're going to talk about some common mistakes in English. We'll talk about common mistakes with the word approve and exercise. Let's start with the word approve. Let's take a look at these two examples. Those who approve the death penalty claim that life imprisonment is not effective. Some husbands do not approve the idea of their wives having a job. Now, when we use approve something without of, that means to formally accept a plan, proposal, or application. For example, the use of the new drug has yet to be approved by the Medical Research Council. But when you approve of somebody or something, you think that someone or something is good. Like when you say, I'm sure that most athletes will approve of the new rules on drug testing. Or I don't approve of sending young children to boarding schools. So if we go back to our examples, we will know that the use of approve without of is wrong here. We should say those who approve of the death penalty claim that life imprisonment is not effective, and some husbands do not approve of the idea of their wives having a job. And now for the word exercise. Let's take a look at this example. Before breakfast, I do exercise and then have a shower. I advise you to take as many exercises as you can. Now, exercise as a countable noun is a movement or set of movements that you do regularly to keep or make your body strong and healthy. For example, sometimes he forgets to do his exercises. Exercise as an uncountable noun is the physical activity such as walking, swimming, etc. For example, we say the doctor says I don't get enough exercise. And finally, exercise as a verb means to walk, jog, swim, etc. to stay healthy. For example, we say just because you're on a diet, it doesn't mean that you don't need to exercise. So if we go back to the sentences we had earlier, we know that in the first one, it is not exactly exercise, the word we need to use. We mean to say some exercises. So we should say before breakfast, I do some exercises and then have a shower. But in the second one, it's just the opposite. We're talking about the general physical activity, so it is uncountable. Instead of saying I advise you to take as many exercises as you can, we should say I advise you to take as much exercise as you can, or I advise you to exercise as much as you can. Now let's take a look at another example. Make sure that you eat properly and don't forget to make your exercises. Now this one is pretty simple and it's a common mistake because people usually use the word make with exercise instead of do, which is the correct verb to use with exercises. So here we should say make sure that you eat properly and don't forget to do your exercises, not make. Let's take a look at one final example. You will never be able to speak fluently unless you do exercise. Now there's a difference between the word exercise and the word practice. To practice is to do something regularly in order to develop a skill. For example, we say your driving will never improve if you don't practice. Or if we're planning to go to Montreal next summer, I'll have to practice my French. So here we know the word we need is not exercise. It is practice. We should go back to this sentence and fix it by saying you will never be able to speak fluently unless you practice, not exercise. And that's all about the common mistakes we'll talk about in one day. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next episode. I hope you have learned a lot today, and I'm pretty sure that your English is a step closer to perfect English. This was your host, Danny. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.